Good afternoon, Mrs. Mark. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Thank you for joining me this afternoon. Is there anything specific you want to talk about concerning Micah?
Yes, I was wondering about his scores on the standardized test he took a few months ago because I haven't gotten his results yet.
Okay, we can definitely do that. I went and grabbed his achievement folder before we got started. So I have the test scores. And if we just talk about the top of the test, it's all the demographic information. His name, the elementary school, my name, his grade level. And right here on the right side of the paper, you can find Micah's student ID. And that's basically the number you can use to log into the student portal and all of those things to access these test scores and in a lot of other things we have going on right now. So, are you familiar with achievement tests?
Yes, I am to some extent, but not this particular one.
Okay, so basically, overall, an achievement test is to measure students' basic knowledge on the core subjects. We use the information to alter our teaching methods to best help the students. And for this test, the scores are broken up into 2 different sections. And this helps us with data analysis, and depending on what we need, depends on what we look at. And these are the top scores are norm reference, and the bottom scores are criterion reference scores.
And can you explain each of those to me?
Yes, of course. Okay, so the norm scores are how Micah performed compared to a group of children at the same grade level. Basically, the creators of this test shows around 10,000 third grade students to take this test, and this is supposed to be an accurate representation of the third grade population that will be really taking the test. The norm scores are then broken down even further into different subjects to show exactly how your students did in each section. So there's reading, mathematics, problem solving, language, listening, spelling, science, social studies, all normal things, and those are what's tested. And as you can see, the math and the reading are broken further down into certain areas within those subtests. So let's see what we have here. Okay.
Okay. Can you explain the battery section? I don't really understand what that means.
Okay, no problem. So, basic battery right here is the basic, only tests the basic subjects. So language arts, English grammar, reading, spelling, and math. And then the complete battery includes science and social studies as well as those that we don't really always consider when we test. And also, if you look right here, the number of items of the questions for the test, the subtests, and the raw score. And these numbers, the raw score are the number of items that your child got correct right here.
Okay, thank you. And would you mind explaining the other numbers to me so I can better understand my son's scores?
Of course. So let's start with the national percentiles. Now I know this can be really confusing because this is not a percentage at all. It's just a comparison of where your child ranks compared to the same national sample we talked about earlier. So example, let's look at language. Micah is in the 81st percentile. So that means that he scored very well, and he's basically scored higher than 81% of the sample set, the 10,000 kids. And as you can see on the bell curve, he falls about right here,
okay.
And this is the average right in the middle, and he's well above the average.
Okay, so the curve is just a visual representation of the numbers you showed me earlier.
Exactly. And there's these bands. Here, the bell curve right here. These bands right here are just an additional visual representation. The dot right here is placed on your student's observed score. So in this case, that would be the 81.
Okay.
And then the band going through it shows the standard error of measurement. And then basically that's just because no test is perfect. We all know that. There's different things that go into it. But this can determine the true score mathematically, and there's a formula for that. But for this test, the standard error of measurement is plus or minus 3%. So if you take the 81 and subtract 3 or add 3, he's definitely falls into that range. Now we're going to go back to the stay nines right here. And although the stay nines are less accurate, they are much easier to interpret. So straight stay nines, which are right here on this sheet of paper that I gave you, break down the normal distribution into 9 parts. So it's really simple. 1, 2, 3 are low stay nines. 4, 5, 6 are middle stay nines, and 7, 8, 9 are upper stay nines. And if we use language again, we'll see that little Micah is in the 7th stay nine, which is a high stay nine. So he scored very well in language across the board.
Okay, so what are these scaled scores?
Okay.
Because I thought that was the overall score for the sections.
Okay, so the scaled scores are converted raw scores. And this uses a chosen scale to represent the student's performance. The scaled score also shows the growth over several years when compared to the same norm group. Is there anything you don't understand or would like me to go over again?
I think you covered it all, but what about the bottom part?
Okay, yeah, so this bottom part is the criterion referenced information.
Okay.
And this is how your student did in specific content areas, and you see it's broken down. And then these content clusters are broken down into smaller sections, much like they were up here with math and reading, for specific skills. So if you just look over these, are there any you don't really understand?
Yes. What is inferential comprehension?
Okay, so inferential comprehension is basically testing how well your student reads between the lines. So it's like reading comprehension, but it's how well students gather information that isn't explicitly stated in the story. So they're inferring.
Okay.
Okay. So now let's talk about how they're scored.
Okay.
Raw score, right here, just like up here, is the number your student got correct.
Okay.
And then number possible is the total number of problems in this cluster, in this content area. And then the low, medium, high is basically where Micah falls within, again, that norm area. You can also, if it's easier, you can look at them as above, below, and, average.
Yes.
So let's look at some of Micah's scores to get a good example. So as you can see here, he did fantastic. He scored in the high range in all of the language components. So capitalization, punctuation, usage, and sentence structure.
Okay.
And if we look, that's what I was trying to pull up. You can see in his writing samples, he does fantastic. So here are some, he's an excellent writer.
Okay.
And he also did great in the life science area as well. So he got 7 out of 7 correct. So he got a perfect score.
All right.
Now in math, he might need a little bit more practice. He scored in the low range for number facts and measurement. But we can see again from his work sample that he has improved greatly. Like here, from when this test was taken, he was making really low grades to where we are now. He's doing fantastic.
Okay.
So if we gave him this test again, I am completely confident that he would be average, if not in the high range.
Okay.
And that's what we use these tests for, to gather this information.
All right.
And then...
So, I I don't really see how he's only average with the sight words under spelling,
Okay.
because we always practice that.
Okay, and I agree. Again, looking here, Micah does fantastic as well in class. He has almost 100% recognition of sight words when he's in class. And I think this is simple. There was only 13 problems and he got 10 correct, which is fantastic, but when you look at everything, you can't miss a lot if there's only 13 questions. So I think that's why he's right there in the average, in the medium zone, but he does grasp the concept of sight word overall fantastically.
Okay.
Is there anything else?
No, I think that covers everything.
Okay, well, this is a handout of some of the terms we went over.
Okay.
Just in case you want to look over the test again, and I know it's really confusing, so this will definitely help you.
Okay.
And you can also have a copy of his test scores.
Okay.
And a copy of the bell curve.
Okay.
And I think you're all set to go.
Okay, well thank you. I really appreciate
No
you meeting
problem.
with me.
Feel free to email me if you have any other questions, okay?
Okay,
Thank
thank you.